Hello folks, welcome back. Today I'm going to speak about the micronutrient crisis that we have on our hands now as a race, the human race. What I'm talking about is our diet, it's our food. So we are unfortunately severely depleted in micronutrients in our food. Now that is manifesting now in severe health problems across the world in the human species. So all sorts of information. I don't need to tell you this, I'm sure you're aware of just how bad the state of human health is globally. Absolutely everywhere you find it. There's problems specific to certain regions, but globally we are just depleted of nutrients and therefore having major health crises across the world. Now, let's get back to the micronutrients. So, micronutrients stem from where our food is grown. So if the micronutrients don't get into the food when it's grown, it can't make its way onto our plate and into our diet, into our bodies, and it can't nurture our health. I'm just trying to work this back in baby steps. So where is our food grown? Our food is grown from soil. So I'm on a farm here, I'm a farmer and I keep cattle. My cattle graze on grass that I grow. The grass grows out of the soil. All the micronutrients come from the soil. Everything. Every last one. If the soil is depleted in micronutrients, it doesn't end up in the food. So whether that's you're growing a crop or a plant, whether you're grazing an animal or feeding an animal food and then harvesting the animal for meat, if the micronutrients weren't in the soil to start with, they're never going to make it up that food chain and into our diet. Now, let me explain why and how we've got to this point in 2025. It's been a long journey of depletion, essentially. A number of decades, arguably century, maybe 1 or 2 centuries now, we've been steadily declining the amount of micronutrients in our soils. I'm talking about globally. I'm not just talking about where I am. I'm not just talking about my country, which is the United Kingdom. I'm talking about globally. Some places more than others. Specifically, the places where we've intensively farmed that land for an extended period of time. So let me give you a couple of examples. I'd say somewhere like the Midwest of America is a great example because that has been so intensively farmed for so long now. And even before it was farmed, it was getting managed. You know, the wild populations of animals and plants were getting managed very intensively before that. So places where we've stepped in as humans and intensively managed land tend to be very depleted in micronutrients. Now that's not just a coincidence. That correlation is very much associated with one another. Where we go as humans, we have been depleting soils for a long time now. How have we done that? It's through our farming practices. It is, I'm not going to lie. I'm a farmer, I've done it myself, I'm guilty. But it's the way we've grown food for a long time now. It's involved very heavy disturbance of the soil, whether that's physical disturbance with tilling the ground, working it with machinery, moving it, very disturbing activity for the soil, or chemicals, agrichemicals. Chemicals really came into their own sort of post-World War II. And since then, we've just been smothering our soils in chemicals, whether that's like salts and like fertilizer, very acidic things, weed killers, broad scale weed killers, and which is a herbicide basically. So it kills life, it kills plants. Just the repetitive use of these things over decades has, surprise, surprise, depleted us of micronutrients. So what do we do about this? Let's get on to something optimistic. What do we do about the micronutrient crisis? The good news is, through the very same way we depleted our soils, we are now building them back. So something I'm involved in is regenerative farming, which is a method of farming that specifically aims to build healthy soil. In fact, that's its sole aim. That's the sole aim of what we're doing with regenerative farming, is to improve that soil. That's the core of the business model and the method. Regenerative farming is getting rolled out, it's getting used worldwide now, in all sorts of systems. So I'm in a system where I keep animals and I graze grass. You know, other farmers, depending on what they do, where they are and what they grow, use different systems. There's farmers growing grains regeneratively. There's farmers growing root vegetables regeneratively. There's farmers growing fruit trees regeneratively. It's all possible and it is happening. Rest assured, it is happening. I don't ever want to sound like a pessimist. We have to be aware of what we've done in the past, but we have to move on and deal with what we've got right now. So rest assured, regenerative agriculture is making progress, and it's turning around our fate as farmers, as humans that need to grow and eat food. It is. The other thing I will say with the micronutrient crisis that we have in our soils is that we have tools available to us which mitigate the impact of this. Let me explain what I mean. If we grow a carrot in the ground, in a micronutrient deplete ground, that carrot's going to be deplete of nutrients. And so if we eat that carrot, we're not going to get much out of it. That's if you like carrots. I don't really like carrots that much. But if you're so inclined to eat carrot, you're going to be a little bit let down by the nutrients of that carrot. When we use animals to harvest the plants for us, this one's saying hello, what the animal can do is gather together nutrients. I said this on another video. They assimilate nutrients, I believe that's the word, over the course of their lifetime. So listen, everywhere I farm is nutrient deplete. Everywhere, mark my words. I'm not farming a single stable piece of ground. I'm working on it because I'm building these soils up. However, the state of our soils is seriously deplete. But what we can do with the animals is the animals have the ability to actually not just survive, but thrive on that environment, which is a superpower, an absolute superpower. And then these animals have kindly harvested all those plants for us, and they've assimilated slowly these nutrients and put it into animal tissue in their body, and thankfully including animal products as a part of our diet, then means that we can get really nutrient dense food into our diet. If it were just for plants, we'd be deplete. But because the animal has gathered plants for the whole of its lifetime, let's see if he's coming over, we then have the opportunity to harvest those nutrients in a condensed form. And so that's just the superpower of the animal, and that's why I'm a huge fan of animal-based diets and animal-based farming, as you would have seen if you've seen any of my videos before. So those are how we tackle the micronutrient crisis. Like I said, it's not anything about pessimism, it's just about realism. It's where we are today in our society, in our world, and we can only do what we can do. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.